Hi there, welcome to the video and hello again to my return viewers. You're watching the Christchurch Review of Books and I'm Kerry. Today a review of a book I just finished a couple of days ago, and that is the latest and apparently last book in Charles Stross's Laundry File series. Yes, this is the Regicide Report. Now, Stross started these books back in the late 90s. It was only supposed to be a one-off according to his notes, and then it kind of blossomed into a long-running series. I started reading these around 2009, 2010, and I've been reading them for the last 15 years or so, a large chunk of my life, as I stated somewhere elsewhere. I really enjoyed these books, the early books especially, and it's kind of sad to see this series ending. The Laundry Files books have always been something that I've looked forward to catching up with as they've been released. Now, I think Stross has written about 13 novel-size entries into this series. That's including the spin-off series, the New Management stories, which more on that later. And there is a number of short stories and novella-sized works as well, some of which were published in their own books, some of them hardcover. Now, the Laundry File series is a little tricky to explain, so let me try and find an analogy. It's something like the Men in Black or something, but instead of literal space aliens, it's a British secret agency that protects the UK and possibly the world from incursions from interdimensional nasties, ancient mad gods, entities, hungry entities from other dimensions trying to attack Earth. And in the Laundry Files universe, well, initially at least, magic or magical powers as we see them in movies or books or whatever are actually an advanced form of mathematics. If you know advanced mathematics, you can do magic stuff, and all the magical traditions or whatever are basically maths in disguise. And as the series has gone on, it's kind of made a point that the amount of mathematical calculation in the world has been growing more and more with the advent of computers and so on, and the veil between us and the world of these evil entities has been getting thinner and thinner, and they started popping through, and there's like contingency plans for a full-on disaster. Now, in the later Laundry Files books, a full-on disaster kind of happened. The Laundry itself, which is the kind of nickname for the secret agency, kind of lost control a bit, and an evil avatar of an evil entity basically took control of the United Kingdom in the position of Prime Minister, a entity known as the Black Pharaoh. I think he was on Earth as in the guise of a politician called Fabian Everyman, and he became Prime Minister basically as a kind of, after other events spiraled out of control, the Laundry allowed him to become Prime Minister, and he's basically ruled with an iron fist, but strangely enough, as a Prime Minister, not as a God Emperor or whatever. And that's where we find the Laundry staff in this book. Strangely enough, to me, they are kind of existing on a day-to-day business as usual type thing, even though the political and social structure of the UK has changed because of this entity is taking control, and it's known collectively as the New Management. And the main character of the series, at the start at least, was Mr. Bob Howard. He's kind of like a mild-mannered, geeky civil servant who found himself basically press-ganged into the laundry service because of his knowledge of mathematics and what have you. And in the earlier books, we followed him in his kind of hapless task of defending the UK and the world from these entities and creatures and ancient gods and what have you. And it was a lot of fun. The original books were sort of a pastiche of various types of spy genres. That was kind of subtle and enjoyable. As a series went on, other elements were contained, and I have mentioned in these reviews before, Stross, the author, kind of wrote himself into a bit of a corner with his main character, Bob Howard. He became more powerful, more influential, more competent, and basically the fun kind of went out of the story. So Stross kind of reacted by focusing on other characters as the main viewpoint. Along the way, he introduced other things into the Laundry Files universe, which, on reflection, probably were just reactions to the trends of the time, in his cynical way, perhaps. I don't think they were entirely successful additions, because we had things like, first there were vampires, explained in the magic or whatever of the laundry universe, of course. And then we had superheroes, superpowered superheroes explained in the laundry universe. And then we had an incursion from magical elves, which kind of belonged in a high fantasy type setting. And that kind of thing eventually led to the new management thing. Magic, which was basically kept secret from the wider public in the Laundry Files universe, was basically blown wide open into the public. And that's where we kind of find Bob at the start of the Regicide Report. Magic is... the new management's in power. Magic is apparently everywhere and popping up everywhere. And Bob has a job of basically going around to local city councils and convincing them that magic is real and they have to deal with it and its threats and the connotations for local body politics, basically. And this is a thankless task. Half the people still don't believe it's real and make fun of him and what have you. And so this book begins with a kind of series of vignettes of life for the Laundry Files team under the new management. I have some qualms about this. The new management stuff just doesn't really sit well with me. He wrote a 3-book spin-off miniseries with different characters, which are kind of slightly heightened and cartoony adventures under this new management. And the whole new management thing seems a bit of a cop-out to me. And I would expect in the team of the Laundry File, the agents, the specialists, they would more likely be fighting like a rearguard guerrilla warfare against this new management, but we seem to be existing as business as usual. So that's a choice that the author made. I don't really agree with it, but I'm just a reader, aren't I? Anyway, this book meanders along for a little while, and then we get to the main plot. And the main plot is that the forecasting team at the laundry has sensed that there is a major threat to the country and coming up, and they have narrowed it down as a threat to the Queen. Now, this book is set in 2014, 2015, so the Queen is still alive in the universe of the Laundry Files as well. And she takes a large role in this book, which I found slightly distasteful, maybe. Having a real person undergoing the things that she had, maybe that's just me, I just felt it a little weird. So basically we get to the point eventually in this book where basically there is a threat to the Queen, the laundry mobilises, there's certain special contingency plans put into operation, and Bob and his wife Dominique O'Brien, known to everyone as Mo, are assigned to the protection or security of the Queen. Spoilers are going to occur here in this review, sorry, so don't go any further if you don't want to hear them. Basically, one of the Queen's corgis falls ill, and it turns out that it has been poisoned, and they narrow down the poison to a type of mercury compound, which is very nasty. You can see Stross had fun doing the research into the effects and properties of this compound. And there's basically no cure. Then one of the Queen's footmen or servants falls ill to the same thing. Then its tests on the Queen find that she has also been poisoned by it, and there is no cure. So the Queen is basically on her way out, and the Laundry Files team basically have to deal with this and everything that's going to happen because of that, because in the Laundry's universe, a lot of their oaths of office, which are kind of magical, to the Queen, the crown, so this gets going to complicate things. And as part of the Bob and Mo's activities with the Queen in this book, we encounter a certain Dr. Anton Fibes, which I recognise immediately from the original description. Stross has done similar things like this before in his books, in the Laundry File books, where we have a description or a mention of a person who's obviously a certain character out from fiction, from someone else's universe or whatever. But it goes a lot further in this one. I'm not sure why it was necessary. So Dr. Fibes was a character in a couple of early 70s trippy, campy, psychedelic horror type books, and he's like a disfigured doctor who talks through an electronic box, and I think it was set in the 20s initially. I have vague memories of watching these films on late night on Sunday TV, the Sunday horror slot as it used to be on TV here in New Zealand. I have vague memories of them being quite nasty, quite weird. I didn't quite understand them at the time. I haven't watched them since, but Stross is obviously a big fan of this series because he takes an inordinate amount of space and time incorporating Dr. Phibes and his entourage into the Laundry universe. We read a lot about how their past, their present, their future, what they were doing in certain years, and how it intersected with the laundry department and its predecessors. So Phibes is basically the Queen's personal surgeon at this current time, and he's a shifty character. Obviously, he has all his own schemes and what have you. And Phibes comes up with a plan to basically put the Queen in suspended animation, so she doesn't die, but she's not conscious. So there's all sorts of magical connotation of this, and meanwhile Bob and Mo get assigned to studying what's really going on and what have you. And Bob has a few escapades around the Buckingham Palace. This is kind of back to his kind of hapless adventure type stuff, which was kind of enjoyable, which I liked better than some of the later books. That's enjoyable. So things happen. I won't ruin the main plot, but it turns out there's lots of double crossing, triple crosses, backstabbing, what have you. There's more going on that meets the eye. It all ends in a big action movie style showdown between Bob and a certain other entity, which I won't reveal the secrets of. And I was quite disappointed. I was expecting a resolution to events of past books, but more or less the status quo is maintained by the end, the status quo under the new management, what have you. That was a little disappointing. And also disappointing, there wasn't much on-screen or walk-on cameos by some of the fan-favourite other members of the Laundry team, which that took part in earlier books. So I was kind of missing them by their absence. Stross seems to be making a large point in this book that most of the main characters of the Laundry files from the Laundry are not entirely human anymore. They've lost something, and maybe they should basically give it all up. And that is pretty much the message at the end. The spoilers, the Laundry itself has been disestablished and replaced by a government ministry, which the new management has named DEAT, the joke being it's one letter away from death. And I have read online that Stross is considering maybe in some years' time writing a book about the adventures of the successor agency. I think maybe he should pretty much leave it where it is. I was kind of disappointed in this book. Bob as a character is really enjoyable. I really enjoyed those earlier books. It just seems to have lost its way along the way. As I keep saying, he wrote himself into a corner, and these stories originally were supposed to be like Bob recounting the history of his life with the Laundry, and that kind of reverts back to that at the end, which is a nice kind of closing of the loop. But I don't know, I just felt it was a little disappointing, a little, I don't know. There are enjoyable parts. Stross is good at his sarcasm and jokey stuff and office politics and civil service stuff. There's not a huge amount of that in this, but that's the type of thing I like. Maybe I was looking for a different thing from this book. Dr. Phibes and co, I'm not sure why they were necessary to be in part of this book. They are someone else's characters. I guess they serve a purpose. I'm kind of torn about this one. I enjoyed the series overall. It's nice checking back in with these characters, but I feel like some of the more recent short works and novellas, like Escape from Yokai Land and the A Conventional Boy, which came out in its own little hardcover, the story of Derek the DM, who ended up being one of the force casting team for the Laundry. That was kind of more in the spirit of the Laundry Files books as I loved them. This one has a bit of a hard task of wrapping things all up. So we do find out in the end that there was a plot and a counterplot to kind of help England or harm England, depending on your point of view. seems a little too late for me, but there we go. So that is me meandering on about the Regicide Report, the final book in the Laundry File series by Charles Stross. If you're a reader of this series, by all means, read the ending of it. I just felt it could have been so much more, but it seems that the author wanted to go in a different direction than I was expecting. So who am I to dispute that? If you want to come back to this series later, maybe you can create another ending to the current situation in these books, but it seems like we're left where things were. So that is the Regicide Report by Charles Stross. Okay, so anyway, today it is the 22nd, is it? The 22nd of February 2026. I had to think about that. As you can see probably from the thumbnail, I am wearing new glasses and I'm still trying to get used to them. I'm not 100% sold on the frameless look, but the alternatives available to me weren't great at the OPSM branch that I visited. So yeah, so everything looks a little over magnified at the moment, so there we go. Alright, we'll catch you back. I did intend to do the review of the 15 Lives of Harry August first, but I thought I'd get this one off while it was fresh in my head. Sorry if it meandered on a little too much there. Okay, we'll catch you next time. Cheers.